Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today we're talking to one of our favorite families, two members from the world famous Braxton clan, who are here to talk about their new show, The Braxtons. We're going to kick things off by introducing you to the African members on the call today, starting with Carolyn Hines in Toronto, Chris Johnson in Tornado Plague Raleigh, North Carolina, Al McGee in hopefully sunny South Florida, Mercedes Williams in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Jill Monroe in sunny and hot LA, Dana Abercrombie in Is It Still Raining, New York City, and Mercedes Springer in always hot Atlanta. And of course, our favorite, Karan Noir Kelly in Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm going to let you guys do what you do so well. We've got 45 minutes with these two beauties, and I'll see you on the other side.
The Braxtons, here we go.
This August, the Braxtons are back with a whole new reality.
It's like a seat's missing. I just miss her.
Four sisters.
I wonder how that's gonna be working together again.
We need to have some type of support.
Four journeys.
I haven't performed in over 4 years. You accept me or you just don't accept me.
Y'all got so many secrets.
This is not the forum.
You've never seen a homecoming like this.
How about that?
The Braxtons premieres Friday, August 9th on WeTV. Stream on All Black.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, ladies. My name is Mercedes with She Critiques in Atlanta. Firstly, I saw the first episode, so let me first give my condolences and to your family still in the grieving process. One thing that I've always really appreciated about the Braxton show is that you sisters have a display of what sisterhood really does look like. Like we fuss, we get nerves, but we have a good time and we're always there. It's a very it's a true display of what sisterhood truly looks like. So I'm just curious of the upcoming episodes. Has that dynamic changed at all between the four of you now that Trina is not with us? I'm sorry, Tracy.
You still have the funny, you still have the sad. The different dynamic is this though. Towanda and I are the closest in proximity and the closest in age. So with that being said, we spend a bit more time together. And in the previous seasons of the Braxton Family Values, if you guys were watchers, I'm not sure if you were viewers, Towanda, Tracy, and I spent a lot of time together filming together. And because of that, we created a different type of bond, especially because we were so close together. And then Tony and Tamar were in California together. So because of that, even after the cameras were off, Towanda and I spent a probably pukable amount of time together.
Yes, we did.
In these past 3 years of hiatus.
Yes.
But as far as the dynamic of sisterhood is concerned, that has not changed.
I absolutely agree with Trina. The only dynamic, well, I want to say the only, but the biggest dynamic that has changed is Tracy, because she bought her Tracy-isms with the sisterhood, because every sister has their own personality. And that's definitely missed in all of the episodes, the new episodes of the Braxtons, but we try to bring it back together and bringing Tracy's legacy alive and fulfilling her wish of us doing the show.
There's another Mercedes Williams out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, owner and chief film critic of movie Scene Queen. Also, again, as Mercedes said, condolences to you and your family and the loss of your beloved sister.
Thank
so
you.
my question is that the show has been on a hiatus. And what were your initial feelings coming back? Was there anxiety, apprehensions? What does it mean to let the public back into our family lives again after grieving such a tough loss? What does it look like when you're on your way to the set for the first time, or even having those conversations to bring the show back or do another season?
It was absolutely bittersweet. Because Tracy wanted to tell her story. She really wanted to reboot the Braxtons even while she was transitioning, but of course she wasn't able to do that. When she was able to speak about it, she was like, listen, guys, I would like for you guys to tell my story. Since I'm not able to tell my story and I have to transition, I need for you guys to tell my story. So this is the fastest that the Braxton girls has ever said yes. The fastest. I mean, there was no resistance. There was no pushback. as it was in the very first season of the Braxton Family Values. It was just like, we have to do this for Tracy. It was a no-brainer for us. But I will say that the first time that we did the first scene and us having dinner together, it was a missing piece. I felt empty. I felt like there was a definite missing piece of the Braxtons. It was an empty chair, and it kind of symbolized the fact that she's not physically here with us. Even though we can feel her energy and feel her presence, we knew that Tracy was, it was reality. It was the real reality of Tracy not being here.
There were lots of highs and lows for me this season, but one of the things for me was, especially in a public forum, I'm not even talking about the cameras, I'm talking about even in front of my sisters, to even just say it out loud that she was gone and that she transitioned. And those feelings that I'd suppressed and put under subjection, I had to actually finally deal with. And to deal with it in such a public forum, because I even myself, I didn't know that it was going to transpire that way. To do that was just emptying. My vessel became very empty because it was just so full of so much pain, so much hurt, so much suppression. It's just unfathomable. To even say it now is, I'm trying to keep a cue to put it on mute, because it's been a long day of, questions about, the family dynamic and losing your sister or losing your loved one or family member. And she's just missing. She's just gone. She's gone.
Thank you both so much.
Chris Johnson, Raleigh, North Carolina. Hello to both you ladies there, and my deepest sympathies to the both of you and your families in regards to Tracy's passing. And I
Thank you, Chris.
Yep, I can certainly send to that, especially when it comes to cancer itself. I lost 6 uncles all to cancer.
Oh,
So
wow. Sorry.
I certainly know what that's like. My question for each of you is, how do you balance the family dynamics with your professional careers? We can start with you, Towanda.
Well, I'm a mom first. I'm gonna give you an example. Like, if I'm out having dinner with my kids and a fan comes up and say, "Oh my God, it's Towanda," I'm like, listen, you gotta wait 1 second, because I'm having a moment with my kids. Even if I'm having a serious discussion with them, I'm a mother first. So I kind of block out all that other stuff, because that's what matters first. Because even when the cameras are not rolling, I'm still a mother.
Yes.
Even though in the time that we were having the hiatus and we were going through the transition of Tracy's passing, I was still a mother. So I just make sure that my kids understand that regardless of what mommy is doing, mommy is here for you.
Yes. Yes. I share that same sentiment, but there is an additional element for me. I understand that when people are fans and they actually see a person in person that they enjoy watching or they're enamored of or something like that, that they want to have their moment. They want to say hello. And while I understand that sometimes opportunities are inopportune, because I could be in the middle of a meeting and we could be in the middle of, something very important that we're doing. I could be with my attorney. You understand what I'm saying? And if I do say, if you would just excuse me for just a moment, I acknowledge you, and just let me get this thought out with this person that I'm having this conversation with. And we can absolutely take those 5 minutes, that conversation, that picture, or whatever it is that you need. Because some conversations are very sensitive, and sometimes people literally just stand there until you give them that moment. And sometimes the nature of your conversation is so sensitive, you're just kind of like, I don't want to be rude to you because I appreciate you, because there is no us without you, but please also appreciate the fact that I need this space right now that I'm having.
Well, thank you both, Trina and Towanda. Continued success to the both of you, and continued success on the show.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Carolyn for Carolyn Talks Podcast YouTube channel. Thank you so much for taking the time for speaking with us today. And thank you so much for sharing everything that your family is going through with the loss of Tracy. So my condolences to you and to your extended family. And so I know it's not hard to talk about grief, especially on such a public forum, But I'm going to phrase this question to Towanda specifically because I have multiple sclerosis and I also have fibromyalgia. So I have two invisible autoimmune disease. So I want to talk to you about how of showing the world who you are now that you have you've been diagnosed with alopecia and you're living your life with the hair loss, and you're being proud of that, because I think it's important for Black women, especially because we are taught so much from young to focus so much on our appearances. You know, when we leave home, make sure you're dressed properly, you know, make sure you're set from head to toe, especially with regards to our hair. So talk to me about the hair loss and the grieving process for that, because I know once you receive a diagnosis of an incurable condition, there is a grieving process. And I know in the show, like, there's going to be a grief counselor to talk to you guys about grief. So can you talk about the grieving process of that part of your life and dealing with the diagnosis and how that's changed who you are as a person, how you see yourself?
Well, you know, authentically, I knew at a very young age that my hair was different from everyone else's in the families. Although I didn't see traces or by definition of having alopecia when I was a teenager, I definitely saw it when I was in my 20s that the top of my hair was thinning. So during that time, I kind of suppressed it and tried to pretend that it what it was. When Tracy was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, and when we decided to cut our hair in solitude for her, I did it for two reasons. I did it because I was hiding behind the fact that I knew by definition that I had alopecia, but I did it in solidarity for Tracy. So when I cut my hair, I shaved my hair, it was a relief of knowing that I did not have to tell the whole world, hey, I have alopecia, even though I knew by definition I had it. And then there was an unspoken thing when we have people in our hair, like our hairdressers, they kind of know, but they didn't say it out loud, that this is what it is, Towanda. They didn't want to embarrass me. And whatever reason it was, they didn't want to say, hey, Towanda, I know that this is what's going on with your hair. But there's a special, amazing moment that I cannot wait for everybody to see, where Tracy is rubbing my head. That was a spiritual awakening for me to know that, okay, Tracy's going through all the things that she's going through. She's fighting for her life, and she's having the strength to keep fighting for her life. So why can't I have the strength to tell the world that I have alopecia? That's not a disease or something that's fatal. But Tracy has something that's fatal, and she's still fighting, and she's still standing strong. So why can't I do it too? And so that gave me the strength to say, I just have to tell the whole world, and it's okay that I have alopecia, because my hair does not define who I am. A lot of times I know that in our community, our hair shows our strength in some ways, but my strength is not in my follicles of my hair. My strength is in my spirit. So that's something that I had to embrace, and I decided to embrace to help the other individuals, the other women or men who have alopecia, to say it's okay.
Thank you so much for sharing it, because I think it's important for us, especially as Black women in particular, to embrace the baldness and like having long hair and like and I think it's important, especially even someone like me having a low haircut. You know, there's judgment that comes with that. So I appreciate that.
Yes.
And you have a fantastic shaped head. So like,
thank you. Thanks to my mother and my father for rubbing my head at a young age, right? As a baby, they molded me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, ladies. Dana Abercrombie, the co-host.
Hey, Dana.
I wanted to talk about joy. What I loved about this series, always from the very beginning, always joyful. There was singing, there was dancing, it was impromptu. I want to talk about, how do you bring back that joy? And for the audience to understand it's okay to laugh and love again.
It is. Well, there is joy in the remembrance. And our family, we've been blessed enough and lucky enough to have those memories in footage for over 12 years of Braxton Family Values. And now to even have those never seen before scenes of Tracy and Tracy interacting with us even during her illness. And she was still always smiling. She was still always Tracy. She still had her Traciness. And while sometimes, you know, I especially me, I get really, really saddened in her no longer being here, but I am still happy, and I still have that joy, as you said, Dana, to know that we have all those happy memories that we can always go back to.
Yes.
We no longer live in that age of video cameras, but we were able to have it documented for the world to share that joy with us, to see at least a portion of her journey with us, and to share in that joy with us as they've shared in that loss with us as well. We don't have as many impromptu songs because that fifth, that fifth note is missing.
It's definitely missing. But I would definitely say, Dana, that some people are like, how come y'all laughing? Y'all just lost a sister. How come y'all laughing? And as Trina said, that we are just in a thankful space that God has chosen us as a family to have Tracy be a part of it. So it's not that we're not grieving. It's just that we have to be in a space of gratitude and thankfulness that we were blessed to have such an amazing spirit to be a part of us. And now that she's on the other side, she's helping us on the other side.
Thank you both for speaking to me, and thank you again for sharing your story.
Thank you, Dana. And thank you for your amazing questions all the time.
All the time.
Hi, I'm Al McGee with WineTicket.com. First of all, you all been in the public eye for many, many years, but I want to talk about maybe the production. You're on the We station. Have they been very good to you? What I mean by that is, have they ever said you can't do this? We'll let you do this? Or have they put a fence around your show and your creative ideas?
Hey, Mr. Al, let me tell you, thank you for that amazing question too. We TV has been extremely wonderful in regards to what our boundaries are and what we want to talk about. Unfortunately, what happens is, because there's so many of us, it's kind of difficult to capture everything in 60 minutes or squeeze everything that we want to talk about in 60 minutes. And what I would love to happen is in the future that maybe all the things that ended up on the editing room floor become another series of what couldn't be said or seen on television, because there's so much more, of course, as you know, Mr. Al. So no, they don't give us any boundaries in that way, but we do give them boundaries to say, you cannot come in our bedroom, we can't talk about this, and we don't want to talk about that. That's too sensitive. And they're very accommodating when it comes to those things.
Yes, well, even I'm going to piggyback on you. I'm not saying I call her because her name is Umba. So the thing is, even while we were doing this press promotion, they had been very sensitive about our feelings and about our emotions. And I mean, they are a part of our family. We're not gonna act like everything has been perfect, because it hasn't been. Just like all families, we have a difference in opinion, but at the end of the day, we come together because we want a great show, and we also want to have respect for one another in an effort to make a great show, because they know that we are just not castmates. We are a family. When the lights go off, when the cameras go down, we still have to live our lives as a family. We can't just ignore each other and say, well, I'm not going to speak to you for 3 months or whatever. No, that's unacceptable. And if you've ever met my mother, you would know that that's unacceptable, because when Miss E has to step in, it's not pretty. But they understand and respect that, and we understand and respect what they're trying to do as well. And it just works cohesively.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for taking time with us at the African American Film Critics Association. And again, my condolences to your family also. I know that type of loss and things like that. Have a great season.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGee.
Hi, Jill Monroe, RSVP with Jill Monroe. Great to talk.
Hey, Jill.
So we've talked about, you mentioned that there are highs and lows that you go through. So what are some of the highs that you guys experienced this season in coming back together as a family and shooting this? What points were up for you?
The fact that I was able to film with my family again. and that we were able to come together, even during the time of us having Spirit as a grief counselor, that those things were needed. And those things, I feel that we had to do this. It was impeccable for us to move forward, to show the whole world, especially our community, that it's okay to have therapy, that it's okay to talk about your feelings, good, bad, or indifferent. Everybody's not always going to agree, but at least when we're going through something that's traumatic as a death or a transition, that we are vulnerable and honest enough to have somebody to talk to.
A low for me is negative energy and negative people. I don't like to surround myself with negativity and negative words. I think people should comment responsibly. They don't know the full scope of a situation, especially in a family dynamic. They know what they see 1 hour a week, of someone's life. And believe it or not, we have feelings. We are people too, and the audacity of some people to try to imply that we are trying to market or to try to expose our sister's death in an effort to gain popularity or clicks or likes or fame or money. We are a family, not a family. That's not what we're here for. We're here to tell a real, honest, and true story about the journey of our sister. We are trying to remember her legacy. And, you never move on. This is just for me. Some people may. You never move on, but you move forward. And what better way to move forward to, express the joy and love and laughter that she brought not just to our lives, but to the lives of our viewers and fans.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, Jill.
Hi, this is Karan Lenoir Kelly of Karanism.com and Love Music Pleasure. And I have a question about love. I want to know from both of you, coming up as a large family, coming up in a group, coming up in the church, sometimes your identity can get lost. I want to know, what is your superpower as a sister and as a woman standing in your own identity? And I also want to know if you miss us as much as we missed you.
Well, first of all, let me just tell you that lipstick is amazing. Okay?
Yes.
Amazing lipstick. And absolutely, we miss you guys as much as you missed us. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me start with that question. But my family always say to me that I am a freak of nature. Because I'm a freak of nature. Because my superpower is I have the ability to suppress. I suppress, and not only do I suppress, what I do is I allow myself to have a feeling, I process the feeling, and then I let it go. So a lot of times, like Trina would call me the Rock of Gibraltar. I am, however, my superpower is to put it on the shelf and deal with it later.
My superpower is my empathy and also my sensitivity. Some people may see that as a negative, but it's not. Some people say, "Oh, Trina's a crybaby. Trina's always crying, blah, 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 blah." Well, I'm not afraid to, when it's time anyway, I'm not afraid to show my emotions. And if I feel a certain connection with you, if you're crying, I'm there with you. I'm gonna call you, we're gonna cry together. And that's just what it is. And sometimes you need that, because crying is sometimes, it's releasing, it's refreshing. It really honestly is. And yes, I did miss you guys as much as you guys miss us, by the way. Because like I said before, there is no us without you guys. You guys are the ones who are the forefronts of saying, okay, you have a need, you feel a need, and you saw fit that we feel that need. So I thank you guys for that. Everyone can't sympathize with anyone else. And Towanda thinks that her superpower is being the Rock of Gibraltar. I think part of my sympathy is calling on her and asking her if she's okay, because it's the well people you really need to check on. And for Towanda, and I'm not sure if you guys have been viewers or fans for, X amount of time, but there was a time when Towanda just had to just release it from her body. She was like, well, when is somebody going to concentrate on how Towanda's feeling? And I feel like I'm that sister that fills in or bridges that gap, because I'm going to call you, and I don't care how strong you look. I don't care how strong you seem. I don't care about that wall you put up. I don't care about you seemingly, Towanda. Say, oh, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm okay. No, you're not. First of all, I'm your sister and I see it. And number two, I care enough to call you and ask you if you are.
And then that's beautiful. And I absolutely appreciate that. Actually, it was you and Tracy who had the ability to do that. But another part of it is what I have learned as a woman of a particular age, now that I'm 50, is that we as women, we are incubators, and we allow things to whatever we put into ourselves, we allow to grow. So what I have learned as a mature woman is that I'm not pouring anything else other than greatness inside of me or the people that are around me. And so that means that when I wake up in the morning, I'm in a grateful space. Even if I'm having a bad day, I'm grateful for my bad day, because there's a lesson to be learned in that. I pour that into my kids, meditating, praying, grounding myself, centering myself, hearing from my source. Those things are important to me now that I'm a grown woman and I have emerged and vibrated in a different frequency. I will say that.
You know what? I'm really grateful because this family and our people are the definition of aging in reverse. And it's amazing how being bald reveals your impeccable bone structure. Thank you to your mama, your daddy, and Jesus. My mama's bald. I'm bald. My aunties were bald. My mother's 73 years old, still working the runway, bald woman. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you for just being brave enough to show up as your authentic self through this.
Thank
and
you.
You guys are beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, ladies, Ray Cornelius here. How are you?
Hey, Ray.
Hey.
First of all, I want to say I just love that, you all are the same every time I see you.
Oh,
You're the same every time. And that means a lot. I want to know, because you were talking about lessons learned from this break. For so many years, we watched you on television and we've seen this show, and then there was this break. And a lot happened during this time. And I really feel like this is the real Braxton family value. This second time around is the real Braxton family values. So let's talk about lessons learned and how we will see the wisdom that you've learned during this break play out on the screen.
So everything doesn't have to be said. And because somebody is going through something emotionally, regardless on if it's good or bad, lashing out or however that may look, you don't have to say anything. You have to allow a person to have their moment, whatever that is, whatever color that looks like, and then just still give them grace.
I had to learn that just because someone says something is their truth doesn't make it the truth. And you have to decipher what that is. So if someone says, I have to speak my truth, I have to speak my truth, I think that's amazing that you speak your truth. But the truth looks differently. Okay. And I no longer, and I hope this does not sound insensitive, I no longer have the capacity to tiptoe around someone else's triggers.
It's not your duty.
I'm not saying that I don't sympathize or empathize with you and what you have been through and what you have gone through, or what you are continuing to go through or have gone through, but it is not my responsibility to coddle you. I encourage you to work through it. I encourage you to counsel through it. I encourage you to talk through it, but I cannot tiptoe around your triggers. I have my own that you don't tiptoe around.
Well, it's not just that. It's not your duty. It's not your duty. And it's not your assignment. That part.
Thank you so much, ladies.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Ray.
you guys, we've talked a lot about there's grief, joy, loss, you know, like connection and gifts and everything. I want to ask you about, you've been doing this show for so many years. The world has changed since the first season to now. Your family has changed from the first season to now. You know, you individually have changed from first season to now. Social media has changed from the
Yes, it has.
from the first season to now. I want you both to talk about how social media and how people see reality TV shows, especially reality TV shows about Black families and a family that's as predominant as yours in the music scene, like R&B and all and gospel. The way that social media and the internet and reality TV shows has changed has made you change the way you approach filming this show from the first season to now, because this season is very different. It's much more intimate. It's much more centered on a specific event. So talked about how social media, all of that, how everything has changed, has made the way you approach filming and the way you take time to make sure, you know what, I'm going to step back from this, but I'm also going to, this is what my sister wanted me to do. So we can go with Trina first, and then Towanda, you can answer second.
Okay.
I think one of the things that's happening, especially with a lot of social mediums, these young people especially, they feel like they need to expose everything, whether it's their business, whether it's their bodies, whether it's intimate details in their relationships that people just don't need to know. And I think it's also important for us to have a duty, not just as a family, not just as women of a certain age, but also as African-American women. I want to appeal to all women, don't misunderstand me, but it's very important as African-American women that you show that you can disagree and you can quarrel without getting physical. Everything is not throwing a glass of wine in someone's face or grabbing someone's hair. And we are going to disagree. We may say some words that are unsavory, but you still need to learn how to handle yourself in a mature and responsible way, because that is no longer being depicted, not just on social mediums, but on television as well. But you could include television as a social medium if you want to know the truth, because, you know, people are watching. These young girls are watching. These young people are looking for someone to emulate. And if the only thing that they can possess on these screens is negativity and nakedness, and quite frankly, unscrupulous behaviors, what are we going to do? Where is our job? And this job is grown Black women. How do we help guide and direct them to become young women who are, you know, that show perfection, to show someone that a man wants to marry? I've noticed, don't get me to talking too long, guys. I have noticed that the pendulum is changing in the amount of marriages happening. Everything is exposed. You've already shown everybody what this man or woman or whatever, whoever you're with, is gonna get. And it's not necessary. You have to learn to reserve something for yourself. And that's just my personal long-winded opinion.
What I am experiencing now with the new series of the Braxtons, and not being the Braxton Family Values, is that of course it had to change and it had to emerge because of the loss of Tracy. So Braxton Family Values was with all of us, and the Braxton is without the physical aspect of Tracy being a part of it. But I would also say that we had to grow up. We grew up. Life experiences changed us in a way that we had to face the real reality that this is life. And it's not that we didn't know that before. It's just that we really experienced it. I mean, Trina experienced the loss of her ex-husband. We all experienced the loss of our niece and our, you know, other loved ones that has passed these past 3 years. It was like back to back, back to back. But these individuals that are on social media, I don't think that they really understand the reality of life and what could happen or what may happen, and it doesn't last forever. And that we all have to go through changes And we have to accept people where they are in the way of their growth. We can't put a timestamp on how a person grows. We can't put a timestamp on how a person stands still, or however that may look for them. So for me, even when it comes to social media, if there are some negative things or things that people are saying or throwing rocks and hiding their hand and living in a glass house or however it is, I have the ability to just ignore them because mental health is a big thing in our community and the whole world, of course, but it's a big thing in our community. And what I have learned not to do, I don't argue with sick people. And I know that sounds crazy, but I don't argue with sick people because even though you may not see that the mental aspect of their disabilities, and you see the physical things of their disabilities, of saying, okay, if I see a person that's physically disabled or physically ill, if I go into a hospital, I can physically see that they're ill. I'm not going to argue with those individuals because I can physically see that they're ill. It's the same thing to me when it comes to mental illness. If I know factually that they have that illness mentally, I'm not arguing with them. There's no reasoning with a person who's ill in that way.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of ill people do sick things.
That's it.
You have to learn to ignore it.
Great, thank you so much, because I think it's important that people understand that, as you said, this is a brand new series, and it's not Braxton Family Values, so it's a whole new dynamic, but it's also a new approach to the way how the show is being filmed and how you are approaching the show as a family and individually. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course, thank you.
Ladies, thank you for sharing with us, and thank you for providing us with great entertainment. We appreciate you, we value you.
Thank you.
And look forward to our continued support.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
On behalf of the world's largest group of Black film and TV critics, thank you for watching this edition of AAFCA Roundtables.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you all for your amazing questions.
Yes.
And, it was a pleasure to meet each and every one of you. So if you twice,